Tonight, residents in Saskatoon-Meewasin head to the polls to vote in a hotly contested by-election. Also, a Rider quarterback is suspended for a game after he was arrested for impaired driving. Plus,
you should try it, real good in it, finally. I will try it today.
A Ukrainian newcomer to Saskatchewan becomes TikTok famous by taking on Canadian cuisine.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, September 26th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Sam is away tonight. It's by-election day in the constituency of Saskatoon-Meewasin, the seat vacated by former NDP leader Ryan Miley. The stakes are high for the NDP, and there are plenty of choices for voters. From one voting station, here's CBC's Kendall Latimer with more.
The polls are open until 8 o'clock tonight, and this may be one of those races where every vote makes a difference. There's a crowded ballot for the Saskatoon-Meewasin by-election, with candidates running from 5 parties. The New Democrats will be fighting to keep the seat orange. Of course, this by-election was triggered by the departure of former NDP leader Ryan Miley. Miley announced his plan to leave politics and step down as leader in February, just 3 days after the party was defeated in the Athabasca by-election, considered to be an NDP stronghold. Nathaniel Teed, Saskatoon business owner, is the NDP candidate for Saskatoon-Meewasin. He says he's focused on the cost of living concerns and building support for the healthcare and education sectors. His ability to secure the seat is also seen as a test for the NDP's new leader, Carla Beck. Up against Teed is Saskatchewan Party candidate Kim Groff. Groff is also a business owner and says he wants to give people in Saskatoon-Meewasin a voice in government. He ran for the Sask Party in 2020 in a different constituency, placing second. Jeff Walters is trying to gain momentum for the Liberal Party. The Green Party is running Jacqueline Andrews, who's focused on climate change. And Mark Friesen, known for opposing COVID public health measures and vaccines, is running for the Buffalo Party. There were 5 days of advance voting, allowing 2,575 people to cast a ballot early. For the folks at home who would like to cast a ballot but haven't made it out yet, there is still time. Polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. There are still 13 locations like the one behind me available for you to cast your ballot. You can find those locations online. Kendall Latimer, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A 13-year-old girl is facing a number of weapons charges after an incident at a Regina High School last week. F.W. Johnson Collegiate went into a lockdown following reports of someone with a gun inside the building Friday morning. Police say the school was cleared and no one was hurt, but investigators arrested 2 young people at a nearby home a short time later. An airsoft rifle was recovered and police believe it was the one used in the school incident. The 13-year-old girl is charged with 2 counts of assault with a weapon, along with 3 other weapons offenses. She was set to make her first court appearance this morning. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have suspended their 3rd-string quarterback after learning he was arrested for impaired driving. The Riders issued a statement today saying, quote, "Drinking and driving is a significant problem in our province, and the team is taking the incident seriously." Backup quarterback Jake Dolagala admitted to management he was charged and arrested for impaired driving last week during the team's bye week. While he deals with the legal issues, he was also suspended by the club for 1 game, which means loss of a paycheck. Dolagala wouldn't talk about the circumstances, but he has apologized to the team and its fans.
It's difficult and embarrassing to go through something like this. I never want to be a distraction to our goal. It's what we want to accomplish this year with playoffs coming up. It's just a terrible time.
Just stuff that you don't want to deal with. He made a bad choice. He's got some legal stuff he's got to get figured out, but he knows it, and we're going to suspend him. And hopefully he learns from this and can make some changes. But
Jake's one of my closest friends on the team. He's a quarterback. He's a guy I got his back, and I just found out about the news today, just like you guys, so I don't know much to talk about, but I will support him through it. Obviously, he feels bad about it and made a mistake. And
an official statement from the Roughriders said drinking and driving can have dangerous consequences, and they're disappointed in Dolagala for his alleged actions. Meanwhile, the Riders will also have to deal with another injury. Running back Frankie Hickson suffered a fractured wrist and will likely be out for the rest of the season. The Riders will be in Winnipeg to play the Bombers Friday night. The families of those killed in the stabbing rampage at James Smith Cree Nation earlier this month are finding ways to memorialize their loved ones.
So after the funeral, people started bringing their wreaths here to honor him.
Marie Sanderson's brother Earl Burns was one of 10 people killed in the mass stabbing. The 2 suspects also ended up dead. This roadside memorial features a school bus made from flowers. Burns was a school bus driver in the community for more than 20 years. The National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations visited the community over the weekend to meet with survivors and victims' families. Sanderson says honoring their loved ones is a part of their healing.
It really felt good that people came out to support us. That's what our community is all about. Yeah, we all like supporting each other.
I came to offer my condolences, to place some flowers at the various graves. I had an opportunity to talk to one of the survivors. It's really important that the community knows that people care about them.
This morning, Archibald met with James Smith's chief, Wally Burns, and other First Nations leaders. The federal government will drop all COVID-19 measures at borders on Saturday.
This includes the removal of all federal testing, quarantine, and isolation requirements, as well as the mandatory submission of health information in ArriveCan.
Travelers will no longer be required to wear masks on planes and trains. They won't need to provide proof of vaccination either. The easing of travel-related rules applies to anyone entering Canada, regardless of citizenship. Officials say the decision is based on the latest data collected by the government. It shows that imported cases of COVID-19 no longer have a big impact on the state of the virus in the country. The health minister urged anyone who believes the pandemic is over to visit a hospital. Fiona blew in and out of Atlantic Canada on the weekend, leaving a trail of destruction. At least one person is dead and hundreds of others are displaced. Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Andrew Furey, who surveyed some of the damage today, called the devastation unbelievable. And across the region, power outages and fuel shortages are making a bad situation even worse. Alison Northcott has more.
Remnants of Josh Savory's home and belongings are scattered everywhere. His house in Port aux Basques was hit by a powerful storm surge and began to collapse.
It's weird to see your house everywhere in shambles when, you're used to seeing it as it stood, nice, pristine, it was your home.
Fiona left a trail of damage across Atlantic Canada. At least one person was killed, swept away by the sea. Homes and businesses were damaged or destroyed. Thousands remain without power.
We recognize that this is not a one-day thing. This won't be a one-month rebuild. This won't maybe not even be a one-year rebuild. But we will be there for every single phase.
All of it overwhelming for Paula Keeping, who lost her home and everything in it.
You can't even tell where my house was. There's nothing there, only rock. That's it. There's no foundation, nothing.
In Nova Scotia, schools and businesses are closed. Cape Breton was one of the hardest hit areas.
32 years of owning a house and putting your heart and soul into it. And a couple of hours, it's gone.
Through it all, in many communities, neighbors are helping each other.
The communities really come together, as they always do. Cape Breton is so famous for that, and we're very thankful.
On Prince Edward Island, people lined up for gas. Officials urged residents to stay off the roads as crews clear them of debris. The province is continuing to assess the damage.
It comes as no surprise that the damage is from tip to tip and across all sectors.
The storm also hit New Brunswick and Les Îles de la Madeleine, Quebec, where some areas were evacuated during the storm, the force of it visible from the damage left behind. Residents who live where Fiona hit hardest say the storm was unlike anything they've seen before, and the extent of the damage beyond what many had imagined. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
A First Nations woman with roots here in Saskatchewan has been hired by the Winnipeg Jets as a college scout. Sydney Daniels is a member of the Mistawassis-Nehewak First Nation. She grew up in the U.S. for most of her life and played and coached at Harvard University. She says she's thrilled at this opportunity and the chance to share it with her family.
It's just been a whirlwind. Yesterday we flew to Edmonton, and I got to ride on the team charter, and I was like, what is this life? It was incredible just to experience that and, truly get a good read and a good scope on how NHL teams, operate from the top down, from the bottom up. And yesterday when we played our first preseason game against the Oilers, I got a text from my family, and I had 8 family members there that drove from Saskatchewan, which was like 6.5 hours, I believe, just to be there for me in the building watching the game. And so, it's so incredibly, powerful and exciting to be in a place where they can see Jets games, they can watch Jets games on TV, and they can know that, they're part of this too through me.
Well, people traveling on Highway 11 between Regina and Saskatoon will now see a new type of sign along the road. The first ever treaty boundary signs were installed near Bladworth today. They mark the approximate division between Treaty 4 and 6 territories. The signs are an initiative of the Office of the Treaty Commissioner and were funded by the province. Treaty Commissioner Mary Culbertson says she hopes other treaty signs will be installed on highways throughout Saskatchewan. And at Saskatoon City Hall, a pipe ceremony was held this morning to mark the lead up to National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on Friday. The ceremony included the raising of a new survivors flag, which honors those impacted by residential schools. The flag will be on display at City Hall until October 3rd. The city also launched its Orange Banner project this weekend. Around 250 banners, which feature messages of reconciliation, have been installed on city light poles. The Rock Your Roots Walk for Reconciliation on Friday will pass by some of those banners. And over at the Métis Nation Saskatchewan office in Saskatoon, another visual reminder of the impact of residential schools. Students from École Victoria Elementary School were invited to dip their hands into orange paint and place their handprints on a large canvas, which will be displayed at the MNS office. It's to memorialize those who never came home from residential schools and to educate people about them. Stay with us. We'll have your full forecast when we come back.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, making back to busy easy.
Sunshine, warm temperatures, winds not too bad. Kind of the ideal day in Saskatchewan. But is this summery weather going to last? Meteorologist John Sauter joins us now with a look at your forecast. John?
Well, thanks, Ethan. Yes, certainly a beautiful day all across the province today. Regina this afternoon, 22 degrees. So here we are getting into the late last week of September and certainly into the fall season. And it feels more like summer. Don't put away the summer clothes just yet, because you'll see the forecast and you'll see that all of this clear sky means, well, things will cool a little bit tonight, but not much chance for frost simply because the temperature is too warm. Usually at this time of year, clear sky means frost for sure. We did have a little bit of late afternoon cloud in the southwest, but it is a clear sky tonight, and there's something interesting in the sky that you might want to check out in the eastern sky just after sunset. Jupiter, it'll be what looks to be the brightest star in the sky tonight. It's its closest distance to Earth in 59 years. It is a mere 591.3 million kilometers away from Earth. That's really close. Next time it's this close to Earth is, well, 4,352 years from now. So take advantage of this tonight, because then it'll be 703 kilometers closer. So again, eastern sky, it'll be up all night, and the sky will be nice and clear for that. You can see that here on Futurecast. Now tomorrow, we may see a little bit of cloud drifting through from Green Lake down through Saskatoon to Regina, kind of a sun-cloud mix in the afternoon, also in parts of the north. But generally over the next few days, we're just looking at very warm and sunny conditions because of a big upper ridge of high pressure that is over us. You can see the shape of the jet stream well to the north and all of the warm air in the eastern prairies over the coming days. So tonight's forecast, yes, a clear sky, a low of only 5 in the Regina area, Assiniboia 4, Yorkton at 2. Now there is a risk of frost farther to the east toward Manitoba, where temperatures are getting down into that 2 to 3 degree range. Low-lying areas may see that risk of frost, but really not a chance for that for Saskatoon, Kindersley, Swift Current. Even in the north, we're looking at temperatures that are around 3 in Prince Albert, La Ronge at 6. And there's about a 30% chance of a shower tonight in Uranium City and a low of 6 degrees. But look at these temperatures as we're looking at the 27th of September tomorrow. We will see some cloud around Prince Albert. Showed you that on Futurecast. But sun-cloud mix in Saskatoon, 27s farther to the west in Kindersley and Swift Current, and a very nice 23 degrees in Saskatoon. Regina 21, 25 in Assiniboia, Yorkton 21, and a sunny 22 in Estevan. So the long range looks like this. Next couple of days getting very warm in Regina, but then we cool off toward Friday and Saturday. And yes, there is a chance of showers both those days. In Saskatoon, 23 tomorrow, 28 on Wednesday, and 27 on Thursday. Plan something outside. Some rain around possibly on Friday, but back to a sun-cloud mix, and then sunshine on Saturday and Sunday on the weekend. Ethan?
Trying Canadian all-dress chips for the first time.
Well, from potato chips to craft dinner, how one young man from Ukraine is documenting his new life in Saskatchewan and going viral while doing it. That's coming up after the break. There are hundreds of cars lined up at Russia's border with Georgia, and there are long queues at airports as more men try to leave their country, a sign of growing public resentment over last week's military call-up to fight in Ukraine. But as Chris Brown reports, some of that anger appears to be turning into violence.
Faced with the prospect of sacrificing their lives for Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine, as many as 250,000 Russian men have so far said no and left, according to Russian media outlets. But it's getting harder to get out. This is the enormous lineup at the border with Georgia. We weren't allowed to walk across, said one man, and they were charging 45,000 rubles or 1,000 Canadian dollars to get in a car. Russia's secret police sent an armored personnel carrier to the crossing, prompting fears that soon the escape routes could be closed. This has scared many people. No one wants to go and die, he says. Some with no way out have turned to extreme violence. One man shot and critically wounded a recruiter at a draft office in central Siberia, and another set himself on fire to get out of being mobilized. Dagestan in the southern Caucasus has seen some of the fiercest resistance to the mobilization order, and there were more violent confrontations today. Russia's top religious figure, Patriarch Kirill, implored people not to fight the call to arms. Sacrifice, death, he said, cleanses that person of all their sins. As Putin's regime tries to force more men to the front lines, it's also compelling people in occupied Ukraine to vote, at gunpoint in some cases, in what Western nations say are sham referenda on joining Russia. Not the mobilization, nor the fake votes have visibly altered Ukraine's strategy of trying to retake land captured by Russia. Its military keeps pushing towards key objectives in Luhansk and Donbass. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Well, after a day in the 20s today, temperatures stay very mild for the seasonal conditions anyway, for the overnight period. And boy, we're looking at a low of around 5 in Regina. Should be still up around 9 degrees at midnight, and winds are fairly light under clear skies and a sunny start to tomorrow. Now, the 9 a.m. temperature is also 9, so we dip to 5, and the temperature really comes up quickly. Southeast winds at 20 to 30, so a bit breezy, but sunny conditions. Now, for Saskatoon, it's also a clear sky tonight. East winds very light, 9 degrees by midnight. First thing in the morning, you'll be right up to about 12 degrees by 9 a.m. in Saskatoon. Southeast winds at 15 to 25. Enjoy the warmth and the sunshine.
And we will certainly soak it up. Thanks for that, John. And finally tonight, one Ukrainian newcomer living in Saskatchewan is certainly soaking up all his new home has to offer. He's trying all the Canadian dietary staples and becoming TikTok famous along the way. Alex Soliduka has the story.
All Ukrainians tried this, and it's really popular in Ukraine.
Andrian Maknichov is on a quest to try the most Canadian treats and activities.
Trying Canadian ketchup chips. First time in Canadian Dollarama. Meat and cheese for the first time. Trying Canadian all-dressed chips for the first time.
Exploring this country helps him cope with the Russian invasion of his own country. In May, the 19-year-old university student made the difficult decision to leave Ukraine and his father, who stayed to defend their home. Maknichov joined his older brother in Regina and started filming some things that he noticed were different here. His friends encouraged him to start a TikTok, and it didn't take long for his account to blow up.
It surprised me in Canada. Washing machine and dryer together. I have never used a clothes dryer before. Try it. Strange.
Over 150,000 followers and 3.8 million likes later, it's safe to say his content is resonating with people. Now, being a TikToker is second nature. He checks his comments and messages as soon as he wakes up every morning.
Really all kind, I don't have any bad message, bad comments, and it's inspired me to post. I feel like I have a lot of friends here in Canada.
He's now made videos testing out all dressed in ketchup chips, Nanaimo bars, Canadian beer, craft dinner, coffee crisp, maple cookies, and his neighbor's homemade borscht. His most requested taste tests have been beaver tails and poutine, so we decided to help him out with one of them.
There you go, traditional poutine.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Are you excited? How do you feel?
Yeah, finally I will try it. I read a lot of comments, you should try it, real poutine, and finally I will try it today.
Here we go.
He really liked it, although he did have a few questions about cheese curds and gravy.
This one, 10.
Oh, there we have it, folks. And we finally got him to try poutine, so
yeah,
check.
Finally.
Along with the taste tests, he has also been trying out Canadian activities like camping and fishing. Most recently, he visited Toronto and Niagara Falls. Maknichov says being busy with his TikTok videos keeps him from staying up all night watching news about the war in Ukraine.
Every day I have new idea.
His current aspiration is to have 1 million followers and of course to try the doughy treats known as beaver tails. Alex Soliduka, CBC News, Regina.
And we wish Andrian all the best on his Canadian culinary journey. That's it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn Reed and John Sauter are back with more local news at 11. Thanks for watching and have a great night.